Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Angela, and I am absolutely thrilled to have with me today Cindy Bain. Cindy is, she's gone on a spiritual journey. At just 5 years old, her journey was set in motion when she witnessed the passing of her father, a moment that shaped her path of service and compassion. Sharing her career in healthcare as a registered nurse and research coordinator, Cindy devoted herself to helping others. But it was during the chapter of raising her family that she discovered her true calling in energy healing. Cindy's life has been enriched by a series of profound, spiritually transformative experiences, including near-death experiences, mystical visions, moments of enlightenment, purification, after-death communication, and unification. She holds an honors degree in psychology and health from Queen's University and is the founder of her own energy healing business, Cindy Bain Recharge with Reiki. And I just am so excited for us to get talking about this journey of yours. The podcast is actually all about people's stories and their transformations. And so this fits so well into what I do. So thank you for joining me today.
Oh, well, thank you, Angela, for having me. I'm excited to be here too. I I read your amazing book, Awakening Through Grief, and the studious person that I am took several pages of notes because it totally aligned with me. But I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I think, we have this similar path of going down, the energy healing road and found out how powerful that can be. And you coming, through a medical background, I always find it fascinating because I think those two should be married somehow. and and so yeah, I'm excited to get into more. So tell my listeners just a little bit more about your background and how you got doing what you do.
Okay. So my background, I guess I do need to start from the beginning. And so for me, my story around grief is losing my father at 5 years of age. So I was home from kindergarten that day. It was 1970. And because I lived in a rural setting, we didn't go every day. We were picked up at the end of our driveway and bused 20 minutes away to the local public school. And so I went every other day. I was home with my dad. He was convalescing from his first heart attack. He was 24 years old and he had already had a heart attack. So he's home and resting in bed. And it's boring for him back then. We didn't have TVs in our bedrooms or anything. So I was in there. I was entertaining him. He was entertaining me. And time would just go by quickly. And my father and I, sorry, I'm not going to say father because I never called him father. My dad and I had a really, really deep connection. And I can't explain it. I just know that I know my mom and my sister have a little more of a connection, but my dad and I really had a deep connection. And so he started feeling that he had indigestion. And so back then it was Pop Shop pop. If you ever had pop in your home, it was Pop Shop. And it was a very large pop bottle and you had to use the bottle opener and try and get the cap off. And my 5-year-old self just didn't physically have the strength to coordinate all of that. And so I took the bottle back to the room to help him because, he had indigestion. This was my gesture to help him out. And as I got to the bedroom, he was turning purple and gasping for breath. And that was shocking in and of itself. So mom was vacuuming in the room beside where we were. So got her and she started CPR right away. So I ran to the neighbors. Nobody was home. Then I ran to the first concession road. We lived just outside of a very small village at the time. So in the country, there were men working at doing some repairs. And so I ran down there and I was not allowed to cross the road. At 5 years of age, that was just the rule. But clearly that day was an exception. And I do remember to this day thinking, I didn't know my legs ran that fast. It was almost like they were going faster than my consciousness could even catch up. And so I got to that corner and I said to the men, please come and help. My dad's having a heart attack. And I remember thinking, first of all, they wouldn't believe me and wouldn't come.
Mm.
So I ran back to the house. My mom sold Avon at the time, and a customer called and please get an ambulance. And so the ambulance came. Well, of course, my dad's brother was a first responder that day. So as soon as the call came in, he knew his brother was home, made it to our house in a very short amount of time. My sister's now coming home from school. It's my dad's uncle. So my great uncle is driving the school bus full of children. We're one of the first stops, last ones to be picked up, but first ones to be dropped off. And now the school bus is pulled over full of people now watching what's happening. People are coming into the house, and now I'm being shooed away outside. I remember standing by myself, nobody's there, activities going on, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening? I couldn't get my dad ginger ale in time. Did I do this? So then I see my dad coming out in the stretcher, my mom looking like she looked like she wasn't in her body. She didn't notice me at the side of the steps, like on the yard beside there. They went to the ambulance, left. My dad did not survive that second heart attack. And so for me, oh my goodness, not only was it grief, just having lost the male love of my life at 5, it was, I thought I killed him. I
Mm.
thought I killed him. Had I been able to get the ginger ale to him in time when he said he had indigestion, he would have lived, but I couldn't, so he died. And nobody knew that that went on because, my mom only came to this situation when my dad was already having in the throngs of his heart attack. And so nobody knew I went through this experience. And so I had to silently, quietly bear the weight of this burden. And my heart was broken,
Mm.
And then my mom, of course, so we lost our dad. So I have an older sister. She's not quite a year older than I am, 11 months and 2 weeks older than I am. So we're both sort of in this, we've lost our dad, but now our mom is having a tough time. So she's not there. So my sister and I got sort of bounced around to extended family. So now it really felt like we don't have a mom, or sorry, we don't have a dad anymore, for sure, in our ordinary reality life. But where's mom? So it felt really like my foundation was ripped out from underneath me. And this was 1970. I listened to a podcast that you were on just recently too, and I heard you say, people don't talk about grief. They don't talk about their feelings and stuff. They certainly didn't in 1970.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? And there was not grief counseling. So, and nobody talked to me about it. I remember going to kindergarten, like nothing really changed. I think they thought, my grandmother or whomever we were with at the time, oh, let's just get them back into their regular routine. So I remember going to school and in kindergarten, okay, so who, for show and tell, who has something to share? Oh, I do. So I stand up on the chair, whatever it is that we were standing on it, to tell the kids. And again, these are vivid memories for me. I remember saying, okay, my dad died, and crickets. There
Mm.
was, you could hear a pin drop. Nobody knew what to say. The teachers, they were like, oh, okay, Cindy, sit down. Like, nobody wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. Yes, thank you. Nobody wanted, like, they were uncomfortable. It was just like, okay, so I knew that wasn't the route to go. I couldn't talk about it. I was being shut down by adults. And so I found or went inward. I, at that age, went inward, and my guidance was asking me to go into the forest behind our home and sit by a tree. And there was a little creek, I'll call it, or a tiny stream that if you put your foot in it, you would get your foot would be wet, but it wouldn't go over your foot. So a little tiny, tiny little thing of water, stream of water, sit with my back against a birch tree, and I would talk to God. talk to God at 5. That's what my guidance had me do. And I wasn't angry in any way. I was just looking for comfort for my soul. My soul was damaged. My heart was broken. And this was the therapy that I found, nature therapy. I knew I felt comforted being in nature. And again, there was that spirituality component. That's what was guiding me. Did I know that? No, but I knew that I needed to go inward and listen to that guidance, because I wasn't getting it from the external world. And so that's my journey. And also, well, that beginning. So to get to the point, when my dad was in the hospital, I clearly remember also thinking, oh, the nurses, they're such nice people. They did such a wonderful job with my dad. I want to do that when I grow up. So remembered that at 5, wrote down, I want to be a nurse in my little kindergarten page of what I want to do. But, as the years went on, I kind of forgot until grade 13, or sorry, the end of grade 12. And somebody mentioned that they had just applied to nursing school. Oh, there we are. Right. That's what I want to do. So I went to nursing school as a graduate nurse. I was the first one in my nursing class to be hired. I mean, we had already written our exams. So until our registration to become a registered nurse came through, NICU in London, Ontario, Canada hired me to be a graduate nurse to work there. And what a blessing that was. Oh, I loved it so much. It was working with babies the size of my hand. It was exciting. I was on the resuscitation team for 8 months of the 3 years that I was there full time. I was on the transportation team. I would go to deliveries of preterm babies. The obstetrician would hand me the little baby. The neonatologist would intubate the baby, and I would start the IV, and we would stabilize the baby and take the baby into the unit, which was like adjoined to the resuscitation room, and do all of that. And was that ever thrilling? Because I never actually had a little one pass away under my care. So
Mm.
that was very fulfilling work. And then I again knew I needed to move on. And so then I went back to school and I did an honors degree at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. And just to fill out my background, there's nursing and then there's more to the world. So I did psychology and health honors degree. And while I was at university, I worked in pediatric intensive care.
Mm.
And again, that was fulfilling. In my 4th year of that full-time university time in my life, I organized our wedding 5 hours away. And as soon as I graduated, we got married and moved to Toronto. And then out of the blue, I had not even applied to Sick Kids Hospital. I got a phone call. Did I want to work at Sick Kids to be a research coordinator? So I got that job, did that. The research was published, and then I was home after that. So that is my spiritual experience that brought me into nursing, and then my nursing career. And then after my 3rd child was born, he was 6 weeks old, and somebody mentioned Reiki, and that caught my attention. And I trained, and that was 23 years ago. And I've trained in 3 different systems, and it's my passion. And I just am always participating in more, continuing learning, or yeah, so that is my practice. And hopefully, I've explained everything. If you still have more questions, I can answer them, or maybe I've overshared.
No, no, no. I think it's great that you share all that background. And, with the Reiki, somebody mentions something and I'd seen you put it's like your ears perk up and it's like, ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that feeling because I've done that myself. Somebody says cranial sacral therapy. Ooh, I think I'd like to do that. And
Yeah.
it's happened many times to me. But once you get into that and you know it's for you, right? And so tell me more about the Reiki. I'm always talking to people in grief about how energy healing can help them with those really heavy emotions. Can you talk to a little bit about how Reiki can help people with those big emotions that we struggle with sometimes?
Absolutely. And so Reiki is, if somebody's listening to this podcast and has never actually even heard of it, Reiki is a Japanese word. And Rei, R-E-I, means spiritually guided, and Ki, means um, spiritually life force energy. And so together, Reiki, it's spiritually guided life force energy. And this is through a meditative process. We are allowing ourselves, and through, of course, um, attunements, although they're called something else in the Holy Fire system, which I currently practice in, um, through a series of attunements, we allow our physical bodies to bring in more energy. So the more you work with this energy, the more you're able to work with this energy, more comes in. And so this beautiful spiritually guided life force energy comes from, you could say, source, whatever your belief systems are, universal life energy. Some may call it source energy or God energy. But this is enlightened, spiritually guided life force energy. It's not a dual realm kind of place that this energy comes from. It's only enlightened, spiritually guided life force energy. And the Reiki practitioner is able to facilitate a session for the client. Now, the number one thing that I always do when I have a client come is I ask them to give permission to allow healing to happen, because it's them consciously saying to the universe that they are wanting this to happen. It's Reiki is not something that is done to someone. It is done in collaboration with the client. So the client is participating as much as the Reiki practitioner, meaning that they're the ones that ideally are open. They open themselves up, they relax and allow themselves to let go of what it is they want to let go of. Often in my practice, I say to them, so I have people state an intention. What is it that's coming up for you today? What feels like a priority healing sequence that you need to happen? They don't need to know what the sequence is, but they will know, oh, well, today I'm feeling guilty, or today I'm feeling sad. Today I'm just feeling angry or rage or something. They'll know what that is if they tune into themselves. Okay. And so what we're asking to release here, to let go of, is the root causes of what's coming up today. And they may have a longer list of just one thing. And then what do because the list of letting go can be endless, there's also what we want to do in a Reiki session is ask to bring energy in. What do we want to bring in? Well, I always have my clients start with bringing in compassion and forgiveness. And this we're not talking about for anyone else but ourselves. This is our own self-care healing that's happening here. We're bringing in always, number one, compassion. Whatever's happening in our life that's brought us to have a Reiki session, we are asking to bring in compassion around the healing that needs to happen. And so there's various other things that we ask for to bring into a session. And then it is me as the practitioner, or any Reiki practitioner. It's not our energy that we're sharing. We are opening up and allowing, we are facilitating this energy to flow through us, but out to the client so that they are receiving the healing. Of course, we're in the energy as well. And of course, it's beautiful energy, but this is energy that is it has its own intelligence. It knows what needs to happen for the healing of this client. And so it moves in a way, it works with the client in a gentle, kind, loving, compassionate way so that it is for the highest possible good with the best possible outcome, better than you could ever imagine for the client. Those are words that I always say in a session. And I do remember, Angela, reading something similar to that in your book. It's like, oh, I like this woman. She is so aligned with the way I am and how I am within my practice. And so this is about helping the client identify what's coming up. Sometimes they'll say, well, I don't really know. Yes, you do know. Let's just take a breath. I'd like you to tune into what's there. What is that feeling that you're feeling? Get used to feeling what that is and identifying what that is, because it will help you moving forward to know, oh, and that comes up, oh, that's disappointment, or that's anguish, or whatever that is. But so it's teaching that happens within. So I'm speaking about my own Reiki practice and 23 years of being a practitioner, and deepening my practice. I just finished a 3-year Next Step Reiki training course with the director of the teachers for the International Center for Reiki Training. This is out of the US. Her name's Colleen Bonelli. I just finished that in December, and now I'm in another year-long course called Exploring the 12 Heavens. And so we deep dive each month into deepening our practice and learning. So this is, again, within the Holy Fire Reiki system, which is what I practice with. And of course, it's Holy Fire 3 Usui, Holy Fire 3 Karuna. And within both of those systems, there's the World Peace Reiki energy that came in. And so there's a lot of energy coming in. So I am speaking about my own practice. Reiki energy in and of itself is beautiful. But please know that it's important to find the practitioner that resonates with you. If you go and have a Reiki session and your only expectation is to have relaxation, fantastic. There's so many wonderful practitioners out there that can provide that for you. Within my practice, I know that within my own spiritual journey, and when you do this type of work, it reveals your own gifts, talents, and masteries from your soul's history. And so over the years of 23 years of working with this energy, of course, things have come through. And so there's many other things I do within my practice that aren't mainstream. But you just asked what somebody's experiencing grief, what they could expect from a Reiki session. And it always depends on how motivated the client is to want to move forward, right? They can come for a session, but if they're not ready, they're not open, and they're not willing to do the work that's needed for them to move forward. And I say work, and I don't mean to imply that, oh, now there's homework before and there's homework after. That's not what this is about. But it is about having courage to look within what is in there. And that's scary to a lot of people. They, don't always want to look within, but that is what opens you up and allows your heart to open. It allows for so much light to come into your life. And then, of course, you move forward in a way that's more aligned with what you are wanting for yourself. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, for people to really get a sense of Reiki, try it. There are so many Reiki practitioners. And like you say, find someone you resonate with, because that's really important. I say that in all things, coaching, doctoring, therapists, find somebody that resonates with you. Just because they are trained in that modality doesn't mean that they are for you. And so that's really important.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, because you were talking about going within, and I'm hoping that you can explain more to people about not being in alignment. We often, I think, feel like maybe things are not quite right, but we don't recognize it because we're used to just putting up with it that way. We're often just going on with life, and these emotions are coming up or these feelings are coming up, and we're just basically pushing them aside or ignoring them and continuing on with what we need to do for the day. But it's like recognizing that and then actually taking action with it.
So for me, going within was something that I learned, you know, I recently just had my 60th birthday earlier this month. And so, that's 50, well, not 55 years just yet, I guess 54 years, 54 and a half years ago at 5, I learned how to go within. And it means that we get quiet because guess what? When we're in a frenzied situation, we can't hear our inner voice. We can't hear our inner guidance, which is our intuition. And so often we get caught up in the busyness of our life. We've got a whole list of things to do. We're racing through our errands. We're racing through our job. We're racing through everything. And we don't stop to take some time for ourselves. And this doesn't, and please, for your listeners, this doesn't mean like, oh, great, now I got to carve out more time in my day and I don't have it. Please know this does not have to be 20 minutes or half an hour. This can be 3 minutes. It can be 3 minutes in your day. You can find 3 minutes. Put your phone down. How about find 3 minutes that way and not scrolling through things? And so it just means that, well, something that I can share with you is you don't have to be trained in Reiki to do this. It's called Gosho meditation, and that is a Japanese word, of course, but this is to help us. And what I notice as a mindfulness instructor when I trained in Reiki, it's like, that's mindfulness. That's a Buddhist mindfulness exercise. um, they do ask you to put your hands in prayer position. Or just put your hands at your heart together, palms together, fingers facing up, and you can just close your eyes and take 2 or 3 deep breaths and put your awareness in the space between your palms. And when you do that, your mind isn't going to be able to keep your awareness there, but that's okay. Just simply when you are aware that it's gone out to hear or to think or do something, pull it back into the space between your palms. And as you're just quietly, gently breathing, and again, 2 to 3 minutes, this does not have to take long. What it's doing is training your mind. So you're bringing your awareness back to the space between your palms and just gently breathing. Don't give up on it. And it doesn't even matter if you think, I can't do this. That's okay. The more you practice it, the more you'll be able to do it. But what it does is it gives your mind a quick breather. It's as if it's doing a reset for you. And then you can just come out of that so you can do it however long you want. If you're really having a bad day, don't just do it for 2 or 3 minutes, do it for 10, whatever helps you feel more aligned and quiet again. Because it helps you then not hear everything else that's going on around you as much. And just going within means that you are opening yourself up and listening. What is it that your divine guidance would like you to know? You don't have to force it. If you don't hear it right away, that's okay. Do it until it comes. There's absolutely discernment around this. This isn't about, oh, well, that was my divine guidance that said, you're not going to be able to do. That's your divine guidance will never say anything that doesn't positively impact you in a way that makes you feel good. That will be perhaps unhealed ego thoughts coming in that are saying things. And so there's discernment around this, but this is just baby steps. This is just the beginning of helping yourself to get yourself quieter from what you're experiencing. And it's just have compassion for yourself. It's not like, oh my goodness, I couldn't do anything. I'm just giving up on this. Okay, or maybe you want to, like anything, we're not always excellent at everything that we do the first time we try it. Maybe we want to give it another try until it comes easier, until it comes easier. And 2 to 3 minutes is not a lot to ask, but it does help reset you a little bit to give you some space to be able to hear your intuition. And then, of course, as I mentioned, discernment around those messages. The more you learn, the more you hear these messages and just figure, you will eventually, over time, understand what's your divine guidance and what isn't.
Mhm.
But this is a journey. Nobody said that there's these quick fixes. Goodness gracious, wouldn't our world be fantastic if we had quick fixes and we could just fix everything with one go at whatever it is we do?
Right.
Wow, our world would be a different place. We would all be different. But we're here to learn our lessons in life. Some people don't pay attention to the lessons that are coming into their lives. It may come in subtly and they choose to ignore it. It may come in a little louder and they choose to ignore it. Guess what? It's going to come in until it gets so loud, you are standing directly in front of it and you're going to have to face it no matter what. So we can do things the hard way or we can do things the easy way. We all have free will. We choose how we want to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You never have to worry about, if you miss the message. It's going to come back.
That is a guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you are in the medical field, and as we were talking before this interview, you were talking about how your husband is in the medical field as well. How do you bridge that gap between the energy healing and the scientific medical field?
Mhm. Oh, that's really easy. So Reiki is a complementary medical therapy. And so it complements, of course, medical therapy. It's not either or, that is never the intention. As far as I'm concerned, or anyone that I work with, it's never the intention to be instead of anything else. It's meant to be, some people, depending on what the issue is, some people just use Reiki for that. But when there are when it's a crisis or you're in the acute phase of something, please, no, it's not commonsensical to expect Reiki to do with. Go to emerge, go get that taken care of. And when that is settled down and you're on the mend that way, and you feel like there's something more you want to do, then um, do Reiki. I know that some people claim that there are physical things that get healed. And you know what? Because I hesitate to say that because I hesitate because if it doesn't happen for everyone, then I can't make that as a claim. It
Right.
happens for some people,
Yes.
it doesn't happen for others. So I don't personally make that claim. But have I seen things happen? Yes, I have. But as a general sweeping statement, I cannot make that claim. That is just who I am until the day comes when everyone has the same response to it, then I will absolutely be waving my banner. Um, but it all depends on the individual because they're in charge of their own journey, their own healing journey. This isn't healing imposed on them. They have to want it. And that's why I say, you know, I'll have you please give permission to allow healing to happen. When they make that statement, now they're open and ready. But I guess I haven't had anyone. By the time they're here, they're bought in. They
Yeah.
by the time they're here, they are. I don't think I've ever had, well, yes, I have. My husband. And so you brought that up at the beginning
Yeah.
of this. How do I bring these two together? I am married to a lung specialist and the director of the sleep lab at his hospital. And 23 years ago, I guess I forgot to mention, along my spiritual journey, I also worked with the angelic realm for 10 years before I actually went trained in Reiki. So since like in my 20s, I was working in the angelic realm and with the angelic realm and saw miracles happen. But so when I said that I was going to train in Reiki, I was saying to Angela, we were sitting up reading in bed, and he kind of turned to me and said, Sin, are you joining a cult? This was 23 years ago. There was this inner strength within me and this inner knowing. Like I couldn't have shifted the way I felt if I wanted to. I just turned to him and said, I am doing this. This is what I want to do. I'm doing it whether you like it or not. And I fully was standing in my power. If he thought I was joining, this is not joining a cult. This is healing from the inside out. So what he does is healing from the outside, get all the things, and it goes inwards, like with the organs, and so lungs and things like that. But everything is interconnected. What he does is important. What I do is important, and that was that was my boundaries, and like that is my stand on this. There's this inner knowing on a soul level, without a doubt. This is important to help facilitate people's healing, and medicine is important. Energy healing is important. And so together, of course, that is the ideal state. If our culture was more evolved, and I would love to see, Reiki practitioners in the hospitals working alongside people like in Emerge and everywhere else, because who is more anxious than somebody in Emerge, or who's more anxious than people in a hospital, period? If you're there, you're not just there because of nothing, and so absolutely these two areas come together. Of course, working in nursing, I saw how important that was, and that is for people to return to health. But we aren't just physical beings. We are spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energy bodies. And if we deny that we're spiritual beings, our soul is out of alignment, out of balance. Something isn't right. I know you also asked, well, how do people identify, when they're misaligned or
Mhm.
with themselves? You already know it. If you're listening to this and you're feeling like, I am stuck, I don't, guess what? If you're stuck, you're not aligned. You're not doing what you're meant to be doing. If you feel stuck, what needs to shift? And that, again, I've said this earlier, but we all have free will, and we make the choices. We have the choice to be off our divine path. We have the choice to be on it. And it is up to us. We have to take ownership for our own healing. We can't give it to someone else to make it better. We need to want to do this ourselves. We need to take responsibility for our own healing. And what is that for us? What does that mean for us? And so many people are used to giving away their power. I'm going to give it to you and you make me better. Okay, that may help some things, but that isn't getting in there and shifting things and healing things that really need to happen with your permission, with your awareness, with you actively participating in this. And we can get some healing, of course, from people that do things externally for us. Of course we can. I'm not saying there's nothing that comes from that, but I'm saying the deepest healing that we can access is when we are wanting to do this healing for ourselves. We give ourselves permission to do this. It is self-care. We give ourselves permission to do this self-care for ourselves, because how can we show up as our best possible version in this world if it isn't the best possible version within ourselves? And that's what needs to shift. And I have a quote here that I put at the end. So I have within my practice, I have what are called healing packages where people sign up for several hours of healing. But what's involved in that is a pre-session check-in, a post-session check-in. And then at the end, there is a report generated. 27-page report. There's qualitative and quantitative information on that. But at the very end of that package, this is my quote. When things change inside us, things change around us.
Mm.
And that is what I find. That is sort of my foundational philosophy, belief system. I just know that to be true. And I don't, again, I trained in Reiki not because I had some intention of starting a business. I fully just did this for my own healing because I was wounded from my loss, from my grief of losing my dad. I knew I needed to do something. What was that? And I tuned in. I listened to my intuition. For me, it's Reiki. Please listen to your own intuition, whatever that is, whatever you're drawn to. That's what you need to do. And so for the first decade of my 23 years, it was only healing for myself. What I needed to know myself. I needed to, like in a very deep way. Of course, I did sessions for family and friends, but quietly. And at the end of that decade, my friends were saying, Cindy, you can't be doing this for nothing. This is really important work. Start your own business. And so then I quietly did that. And just in the last couple of years, I've actually just gotten a website and done some other things beyond that, some speaking work. And yeah, this is, so here I am on your podcast. I've done one prior to this on a self-help me one, but, and I have, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, I guess I'm allowing myself to be more visible and to now my kids are taken care of. They were a priority. My youngest is almost 24 this year. Everyone's got jobs. Woo, mom can do what she wants now. And what I want to do is move forward along this path to help others. That is my passion. Mhm.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I love what you're saying about checking in with your own guidance as far as the healing goes, because that's really what I do. I go for my annual checkups and I get all the blood work done and I do all the tests, and then I wait for that information to come back. And then at the same time, I'm exploring all the natural healing remedies that can go along with that and what can help me, and tuning into myself on what's right for me. And so, and I think that's the perfect way to approach healing. Like you say, there's more than one aspect of us that needs to be addressed. And so, yeah, beautiful. You've summed that up very well. Yeah, thank you. So tell people, how can they get a hold of you if they want to do some Reiki?
My goodness. Yes. So I have a website. It's called Cindy Bain Recharge with Reiki. And so that's my website. My email is cindy@cindybainreiki.com. And my socials, you can reach me at recharge, I think it's _with_Reiki. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you having me on today. It's been such a delight.
Mm.
And I really, really enjoyed your book, loved it. And again, I just felt like we were so aligned with so many things. It's like, I think I wrote that. Wait, oh, it's you. That's sort of how it felt. So,
Yeah, well, this conversation is very much, just reiterating for me a lot of my beliefs as well. And you do such a great job of explaining that. And so I really appreciate you giving that to the audience and letting them hear how Reiki works, a little bit more about that and how life works really in all of that. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it.
thank you. And what I forgot, I guess I actually have a YouTube channel.
Oh,
Um, and I've spoken. So I have two talks that I've done. One is more local. Well, people have listened. So one is called Toronto Awakening Sharing Group. So there's a talk I did March of 2023, but just earlier this year, February 15th of this year, this year, 2025, no, March 2024. But this year it was Spiritual Awakenings International. So this is an international platform, and it reaches 103, I believe, countries, 103 or 105 countries. And so that that talk is on YouTube as well. I believe both of them are actually on my website as well. If you go to the media page, I believe that the videos are there to watch. I do, in both of the talks, there are some similar things in that my story is my story, so it's not
Right.
going to change, right? My beginnings, but some of the spiritually transformative experiences, there's a couple of different stories in the Toronto Awakening Sharing Group talk, and a couple of different stories in the Spiritual Awakenings International with Dr. Yvonne Cason. She's the president of it. And it was her book that I read, Touched by the Light, that allowed me to understand my spiritual experiences more. She put together a framework, so much information. And when I read it, it was like, oh, well, I've had that I've had a near-death experience and I didn't understand. But no, because it was a facing near-death experience and I didn't know there was such a thing.
Ah, okay.
Right? And so the more we educate ourselves around these things, the more we understand, yes, we are spiritual beings and having these wonderful adventures that way as well.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks again for doing that. And I encourage people to go check out your website, check out those videos. And I want to thank everyone for watching, and bye for now.